The first teaser for Persona 5, released 12 years ago, was nothing more than 5 chairs bound in chain, a simple visual representing the number of the series. And at the end, you are slaying. Want emancipation? Hello everyone, in this video I want to talk about something that really stood out to me in Persona 5. So far I've just finished the Madarame arc, and I really enjoy this incredible game. It truly has a kind of charm that's hard to explain. What I have noticed is that despite the simplicity of its writing and dialogue, it's actually a very intelligent work in terms of symbolism, especially in psychology and sociology. Today, we will be discussing one particular aspect the game focuses on, something that deeply resonates with me based on what I have experienced so far. There will be spoiler for the first 2 arcs, so if you haven't reached that point yet, you might want to come back later. With that said, welcome to the concept of justice in Persona 5. Let's imagine a near future where humanity is given a system that evaluates and monitors social behavior. Would that serve justice? Crime rates would undoubtedly drop to 0, but at the same time, we wouldn't actually be any closer to the true justice. Who cares, right? At least humanity would finally achieve a safe society. But the real question is, what did humanity lose in order to achieve that safety? People wouldn't avoid wrongdoing because they believe in what's right, but because they know they are being watched. And that creates a new kind of justice. A justice without conviction, without conscience, without freedom. And here lies the paradox. Criminal behavior may disappear, but the desire behind it does not. Society may look orderly on the surface, but internally it becomes fragile, built on fear, not values. At that point, the question becomes sharper than ever. Is justice about preventing people from doing wrong, or giving them the freedom to choose what is right? Because the difference between the two is the difference between a living society and one that is merely controlled. This is the same philosophy explored in Death Note, through the conflict of Yagami Light, who sought to create a fear-based absolute system of justice, and L, who believed that such a system itself morally criminal. Which one truly represents justice? Is it absolute power or structured order? The story begins with a high school student who has transferred to a new high school, already burdened with a criminal record. From the very beginning, you find yourself trapped in a system that judges you with disgust without ever listening to your side. And on top of that, one of the authority figures in this system is a corrupt individual, someone who is praised and respected despite their wrongdoing. A teacher who commits a terrible act. Many people are aware of how bad he is, yet most choose silence over confrontation. So, does this system represent justice? No, absolutely not. And this is where the meaning of the phrase from the trailer becomes clear. You are a slave to a system created by society itself. At the moment each character awakes the persona, you hear a voice delivering a powerful message, a call to rebellion, sometimes poetic and sometimes direct, like in Ryuji's case.
You made me wait quite a while. You seek power, correct? Then let us form a pact. Since your name has been disgraced already, why not hoist the flag and wreak havoc? The other you who exists within desires it thus. I am thou, thou art I. There is no turning back. The skull of rebellion is your flag henceforth!
All the main characters we have seen so far are individuals who suffer under some form of oppressive authority. I have heard people criticize Persona 5 for focusing too much on hating adults, but honestly, I don't fully agree with that. In fact, You literally have the option to form relationship with adults. It actually makes perfect sense. Adults represent the system in the society. Wherever the system is healthy or corrupted, even if the story took place in a university setting, the dynamic wouldn't change much, because in any hierarchical structure, whether defined by age or knowledge, those at the bottom are always the ones being oppressed, even if the difference is just one level. We form a group known as the Phantom Thieves, a team that steals the hearts of those consumed by the distorted desire. With each successful heist, the target changed completely, becoming unable to leave without confessing their sins. We, the rebels against the system, create a new vision of justice, a world where people's hearts and wills are forcibly reshaped into something more acceptable for society. But what we fail to realize is that in escaping one form of control, we may have created another. After the second palace, the true conflict being to emerge, a clash between two opposing ideas, both logical, depending on perspective, with a new character appeared, Goro Akishi. He introduced himself with interest in the Phantom Thieves, even expressing admiration for them. But then come the twists. Despite that admiration, he firmly believes they should be judged and held accountable. During the TV interview, I was asked about my opinion on the Phantom Thief. The game didn't really give me the option to speak negative about them, but even if it did, I would have chosen the most critical answer. So I said, they doing a better job than the police, which honestly fits the protagonist's past, considering he was wronged by the system himself. Everyone laughed. Then Akishi asked, what if someone close to you suddenly changed without explanation? Wouldn't you suspect the Phantom Thieves? My response is give him back the question. Something like they only target criminals would be a trap, because no one can make sure of that. His concern wasn't about their intentions, but about the power itself, because such power can be used for far more than forced confessions. Akishi was a very interesting character. At first his perspective seems irritating, but the more you think about it, the more it starts to make sense. Maybe it's even closer than the truth. Let's consider the possible consequences for this power. In Kamoshida's case, he isolated himself for a week, and after confession, he even attempted to take his own life. What if confessing isn't the right way to atone? And let's not forget what Madarame say. Will the man in the black mask killed me? I still don't know who is the black mask, but it clearly shows the power of the metaverse is danger, and its outcomes are far from guaranteed. If the game truly addresses the dilemma later on, I will honestly stand up and apply it. At the very least, I hope we get an arc where the villain can change without having their heart stolen. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to support us, even with a kind comment. And if you have your own thoughts or interpretation about Persona 5, I'd love to read them. Just please, if they are spoiler, make sure to warn first. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.